On the eve of Desta's birthday, Abraham rose early. The brilliant red and golden rays of the sun that greeted him reminded him of that childhood day so many years ago. He gazed into the mirror of leftover liquid, and his father's eyes looked back at him. The joys of a short-lived childhood dripped down his face and fell into the folds of his gabi. The hard fact that Abraham had lost his father before he was 7 gripped his heart yet again. Abraham feared that he too might pass away without discovering what had become of his father and the precious family heirloom. For Abraham, this was a greater shame than the gossip mill his mother had dreaded, that their father had taken the coin and abandoned them. As an older Abraham grappled with these childhood memories, a tantalizing notion rushed into his mind. If he had had the good fortune to receive the coin, as his mother had promised, he would have passed it on to Desta, his 4 foot 5 inches tall son. Abraham even was tempted to give Desta the empty coin box, which he had placed next to him. In recent years, he'd used it to store a gold pocket watch he had collected from an Italian soldier he had killed in the war. As a boy, Abraham had developed an interest in the language of birds from this box. He had hoped that someday one of the birds would open its beak and tell him, either in dream or wakefulness, the story of the coin. Abraham brought his thoughts back to reality. He had to prepare Desta for the things he must do in the months and years ahead and engage him with Desta, the sorcerer, to solve the family's present problem. In the evening, Abraham sat on the brown cowhide that his wife, Aynat, had brought and placed outside their home, and waited for Desta to return from the creek, where his sister, Hibist, had taken him to bathe. He planned to hold a rite of passage for his son that evening. This evening, too, the tall, expansive mountain had eclipsed the setting sun and draped the foothills with its shadow. In the front of his mind, though, were his daughter's childbirth problems, which Abraham hoped Desta would help solve. For nearly 2 years, Abraham and Saba's husband, Yehun, had taken Saba to several venerated churches to drink blessed water, dab her belly with it, and pass the church's crosses and Bible over her. After all the known methods of cure for such problems had failed, Abraham and Yehun were poised to try something new, consulting with the spirits of the valley. Desta, the sorcerer, had convinced them that the spirits might be the causes of Saba's problems and for their dying animals and poor crops. Desta and Hibist emerged, trailed by Cooley the dog. Desta wore his brand new gabi, which Aynat had bought him for this important ceremony. "There's Baba," Hibist said, pointing the moment she saw their father. "The reason I invited you here this evening, son," Abraham said, looking at Desta, "is because you will turn 7 tomorrow, and I want to share with you the things that will be expected of you." As a Christian boy, you should start to fast on Wednesday and Friday and before major holidays such as Christmas and Easter. Soon after your birthday, you will be trained as a sheep and cow herder to replace your brother, Damtu, who will graduate into farm work in May, Abraham said. "You know, I have always wanted to climb to the top of these mountains so that I can see the sky up close and touch it and feel the clouds with my hands," Desta replied. "I know you have, son. It's admirable that you're still determined to go to the place of your dreams." "And there is one critical task we'll need your help with, Desta," Abraham said, "but this would not be a part of your daily work." We believe that Saba and her family's problems may be caused by spirits who are angry with them for living on their roaming grounds, Abraham said. We need to contact these spirits to find out why they are unhappy and if they will give us a remedy. These creatures reveal themselves only to young people with the help of the and said, "May I share with you a secret?" Desta nodded. "I had a premonition last night as I prepared to make you something special for this meeting," Ayenat said as she lowered the basket and placed it before Abraham and Desta. Family's coin of magic and fortune, Erahau. "A loaf," Abraham said with a smile. "Maybe this loaf will cure you of your hankering for the real thing and for your father," Ayenat said with a smile. "We have 2 cups containing honey wine, one full, the other half full. The full cup..." "Does this mean the son's life is half full too?" Desta asked, turning to his father. "What do you mean?" "Let's share this wine first," Abraham said, taking a sip. Then he passed it to Ayenat. She took a sip and passed it to Hibist, who in turn took a sip and passed it to Desta. The strong, suffocating aroma was too much for Desta. After just a whiff of it, he passed it back to Abraham to finish the rest of the wine. That evening, Abraham walked home happy and lightheaded from both the honey wine and the vision of the coin on Ayenat's loaf. In some ways, he felt he received his birthday gift 40 years later.